I got into this world of entertainment and acting to act. And suddenly I've been, harnessed up and kicking and flipping and lighting things on fire. And now I have the privilege of doing it.
Joe, are you all right?
I'm looking for my son. His name is Zhou Zhao.
宝贝，不管发生什么事，妈咪永远爱你。
Thank you so much for being here, and congratulations on a beautiful film. I want to start at the beginning with Andrew, I believe, because I believe you were the one who read the article in the LA Times that eventually inspired the film. What was it that spoke to you about that story that you instantly saw it as filmic?
Yeah, I remember reading this article and it just sitting like a pit in my stomach. And because I couldn't shut up about it, I realized that I wanted to amplify the story in the only way that I knew, which is to turn it into film. And so 8 years ago, sent an email to Frank Shou, the incredible journalist who wrote the article called The Dying Mother's Plan, and said, your story has impacted me in such a profound way. I'd love to help amplify it and turn this into a film. And that began this 8-year journey from the actual article from the LA Times into this incredible script by Marilyn, and then all of the pieces that came together from there, and surviving COVID, the actor strikes and the writer strikes, and going through 16 different financiers to tell a story like this. I mean, this is such a testament to how important this film is that it survived all of that, because at every single step we knew we can't give up to get this film made. So it started with just knowing this is a story and a message that we want to get out there.
And Marilyn, for you, what interested you in the story? I mean, when you first, I don't know if you first heard the premise or you read the article, there's different ways to tell the story. And I think the way that you found in is so fascinating and really a love story. I don't know if that was always the intention from the start.
So our other producer, Minette Louie, had sent me the article, and Minette and Andrew had teamed up. And again, just from reading the article, I was instantly compelled by this woman, by Irene. I had written some ensemble pieces with Asian American characters. And I can't even tell you just how hungry and how frustrated I was to not be able to focus intently and intensely on one Asian character. And so when I read Irene, it just really captured me and captured my attention, and I couldn't put it down.
And Lucy, for you, at what point did you get involved? Was it originally as an actor or producer, or was it always a package deal?
They came to me, I think, knowing that it was going to be a package deal. Sometimes when you're included, it makes you feel that you're more part of it. And since they didn't even have financing at the time, it was a really good way to start. And it's been a long journey, and we have had struggles along the way. But this was a story that really reminded me so much of my own childhood growing up. My parents were immigrants, and a child of an immigrant, I understood the feeling of being marginalized. And I think that what Irene was lacking was the advocacy that she really needed for the medical community, her own community, and just not really understanding and comprehending the language of the diagnosis. It just sort of breaks my heart, and it's devastating to know that that happened and that she felt that was her best option.
And Eric, this is your feature directorial debut. Actually, your directorial debut, isn't it? Yeah. How did you come aboard, and how did you know you wanted to tell this story?
Minette Louie, I had shot a couple features for her, like very early days. She was doing very small, independent films in New York, and that's how I was, starting to get known as a DP. So we had worked together, and we had talked about making films together. And luckily, she thought of me. I read it and was, completely broke my heart. I saw my own family within the story. I grew up in Southern California, and we went out to San Gabriel Valley every weekend, for grocery shopping, restaurants. So I felt like on a tactile, primal level, I understood that, I felt this world. I felt like it was a story I could tell honestly and truthfully, and it felt like an urgent story, but even though it took us 7 years to make it.
And Lawrence, I can't imagine, doing your first movie, it being a big role like this and so complicated, and something I know you absolutely want to get right. I'm curious sort of like what the atmosphere on set was like. Were you able to go home at the end of the day and sort of let these characters go, or, is it hard?
Yeah, it was absolutely a challenge. Hardest part for me was not even actually the shooting. It was actually the before we started shooting, the prep. It was really, really intense because that's the moment where you know, this character is still kind of up in the air. You're figuring out where to go with it, and you don't know if it's going to go well, if, you know, if it's going to honor the memory of the original Joe, if it's going to honor the memory of their relationship. And at the same time, you also don't know if you're going to be able to do it. And so for that, you know, I want to give so much credit to all these people here with me, as well as the people that are not here, unfortunately, like Minette or other incredible producer and everyone else who was involved, because they were my community when I was on set. They were the people around me who was supporting me when I was going through these challenges. And when I didn't know if I was going to be able to finish this movie and play this role, you know, they were the ones who were behind me, encouraging me, and Lucy especially, you know, on set, like you said, when I went home, there were days when I felt like I had to carry it with me, and that made it even scarier. And I remember Lucy would take her time to make sure that I was okay and remind me that you do not need to carry this character with you. You can let it go. You can believe in yourself, that you have it innately, this potential to express and act in a way that is healthy and lets you sleep at night.
Yeah. And Lucy, for you, I mean, I've seen you do drama before, but I don't think I've ever seen. I haven't seen many people do something like this. To be quite honest, you're so fantastic, and it just seems that it would be a little bit of a burden at the end of the day. I don't know if you know, if you've got to that point where you're able to walk away at the end of the day, or if it's still hard.
To be honest, it's been really cathartic. It's been cathartic because it is something so intimate. And I think that I got into this world of entertainment and acting to act. And suddenly I've been, you know, harnessed up and kicking and flipping and lighting things on fire, which is incredibly fun and entertaining, obviously. And I grew up, you know, watching all these martial arts movies in Chinatown. This is what I came to this business to do. So it's been over 30 years, and now I have the privilege of doing it. And it has been deeply meaningful to me, and it has really, I guess, accelerated my passion and my love for what I do and how I do it. And also, it's a love letter to my community and to my family, who never quite understood what I was doing and how I was doing it, because what we do is not tangible. I didn't have a sign that said MD, you know, or I wasn't in a court of law, you know, winning a case, or whatever the idea of what it is to be a citizen of the society that my parents, who came from China, thought it should be. And so now I feel like, you know, even though my father has passed on, I have left something as a legacy piece for, you know, others, that they can recognize that you can do all those things, but this is the potential that you had all along.
To prepare for this character, though, how did you, you know, sort of perfect the accent, that balance of, you know, the broken English, but also and also, I just want to shout out to the rest of this amazing cast. The woman who plays your friend, your no-nonsense friend, is so wonderful.
Jennifer Lim, yeah, she's on wonderful. Yes.
Yes.
Really working on that was the way into this role for me, and just going back to the language and really picking it apart to make it very colloquial and not formalized. And then taking the sentences, the beautiful sentences that Marilyn and Eric worked on, and just really fragmenting them to create these kind of holes. And I think when I say that, I mean, you know, when you come from another country, the meaning of what you're saying is much more direct. And the verb is more, you know, forward facing. And so when you're asking for something, it may not sound as light or nuanced, but the meaning is so immediate. And I think the immediacy of what she was saying, or how she says it, it can be a little bit, I guess, misunderstood. That's how I felt as a child, and that's how my parents felt. And it was imperative for me to allow Irene to have that kind of porousness as well, so that you can see that, you know, she wasn't receiving all of the information and comprehending it. And she really did need someone to advocate for her.
I want to thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for making this film. I'm sorry it took so long. Thank you all for being a great audience.